welcome back to the channel, everybody. This week, I've got episode 35, which happens to be UFC 261, Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal II, with a full slating 3 title fights, 2 more fights on the main card that I'm looking forward to, and on the verdict card, we've also got the top of the prelims. Bout in Alex Oliveira versus Randy Brown, which is another fight I'm really looking forward to. Before we look ahead, let's quickly look back. Last week, probably my best prediction, my best verdict card of the year thus far. We got a gold badge, so we missed out on the belt, but we did go 5 of 5 on fighters. Only got a method or 2 correct, but we did hit 2 underdogs, which takes me to my best call, Jacob Malkoun. No one else had him. I didn't really have him for any particular reason other than the history I had with both him and Abdul Razak Al-Hassan. Just could not be having Al-Hassan again at like 1.2 times on verdict. No way was I going to swing the bat on him as such a short favourite when I'd already been burned. I liked Jacob Malkoun. Do I like him better now? I'm not sure. He showed a level of durability, some skill, some tenacity, and just following a good game plan in terms of getting Al-Hassan off the fucking feet where he can kill a man. So, yeah, props to Jacob Malkoun. That was a great win. Excited to see who he gets next and who Al-Hassan gets next over in Bellator. That'll be interesting. Because that fight was really for a contract between them two boys. So, relatively low level of affair, but still happy to get the right, or go the right way on it. My worst call of the night, I did hit 5 of 5, so had to do a bit of soul searching, but it would have been Luis Pena. I had Luis Pena via submission. It was never likely, and in all for a 1.22 times verdict favourite, for it to go to a decision that close, a fight in which I actually scored it for Alexander Munoz. That was definitely my worst call. Got lucky on that one. And yeah, so did I, essentially, for going on or in his favour. Anyway, this week we have 2 moneyline bets on this verdict main card, as well as the multi, which we will be going hard at. But before we get into all of that talk, we'll start it off at the bottom of the verdict card. We've got Alex Oliveira versus Randy Brown. Alex Oliveira, 1.64 times and $2.20. Randy Brown, 2.57 times and $1.64. Give me Randy Brown in this one. Neither of these guys are trustworthy, but I would put Oliveira even further down on the ranks of reliability out of these two. I do think Randy Brown is better everywhere. You know, he's the more dynamic striker. He's much faster. He's incredibly long. 6'3". He's going to be tricky frame to deal with. He's got better fundamentals. I love his body work. He kicks to the body and he jabs to the body a lot. Lots of his strikes aimed at the midsection. He also kicks the legs a lot. Alex Oliveira doesn't really kick much at all, which is going to be a problem for him here. We've seen him touch the legs previously, but Randy Brown is a really long guy, which might drag out the leg kick attacks from Oliveira, but we just haven't seen it that much from him before. And without that skill, or without that tactic, it's going to be a problem for him, because Randy Brown's range management is quite good. He's got nice straight strikes. He keeps guys on the outside. He's also got good pressure. Where I give Alex a sniff would probably be in the grappling department. I think he's the better wrestler. I like his takedowns. I think they are better as well. Sometimes he does get a little lazy and shoots across the cage, but for the most part, he does pressure his opponent back, get them behind the black line, and then get in on the hips, where the success rate on takedowns are far higher. But again, on the ground, once they're there, I like Randy Brown's game better again. He's a monster off his back. He's got really long limbs. He chases the submissions too. He's got 4 in his career. I know I said the same shit last week with Luis Pena being a really lanky dude. But Randy Brown similarly does chase those submissions, and Those longer limbs are to his advantage when he does so, in terms of getting his feet on the hips, creating space, and then openings for triangles, armbars. He has got triangles and armbars and guillotines before. He he's not a guy you really want to be getting your neck or your arms in and around. Okay. My one concern with all of that is that if Alex Oliveira is managing to secure the takedowns and hold him down, Randy might get a little bit too comfortable on his back searching for those submissions and give up too much control time if he can't secure. But Randy's a dog, He finished Barberena in the third round, which is so impressive. He also submitted Wally Alves off of his back, another win that is looking more and more impressive as time passes. My other knock, I suppose, on Randy Brown could be his susceptibility to the power shot. We have seen him dropped on a couple of occasions, and Alex Oliveira does pack a punch. He's got 12 or 13 wins in his career via knockout. But I think he's just at a higher level than Oliveira at this stage, and as a verdict underdog, I have to get a piece of that. When I was looking through the methods, I'm kind of unsure. A decision seems the most likely, but it is the shortest of the outcomes for Randy Brown. And if I'm being perfectly honest with myself, these guys are going to try and take each other's heads off, whether that be on the feet or pop the head off like a can on the ground. So yeah, off the back of Randy's, what I believe to be underrated ground game, plus the likelihood of it seeing the mat with these guys, opting for the wrestling routes pretty frequently in their fights, I'm going to be taking Randy Brown, a second round submission at 23.15 times. That is overs. That is a great price. Alex Oliveira has been submitted 5 times in his career. His submission defense and submission IQ is not great. And Randy's a genuine spider down there. He is a lanky motherfucker. I can see openings in several ways for him. Off his back, I can see a club and sub. I can see him mounting and working for a guillotine. He's got options. And I like it. I think the price is great. It should be a banger. Super excited. I can't see a world in which this fight is not entertaining somewhat for the viewers. So yeah, I think that's a great way to open up the verdict main. Next fight along, Anthony Smith versus Jimmy Crute. Anthony Smith 1.99 times and $2.63. Jimmy Crute 2.01 times and $1.45. I think Jimmy Crute in this spot is a great verdict play at 2.01, but at $1.45 I would not be touching him. I think that's too short. All in all, I do think he gets this done. I think he is better wherever the fight goes. Outside of his fight on the Dana White's Contender Series, he's shown a really high fight IQ in the cage. Perhaps his one lapse was kind of hurting Misha Serkinov and chasing him to the ground where he got necktied, which wasn't a great look. But I feel like that's only because he trusts his jiu-jitsu game and his ground game so much. He blatantly took that route against Paul Craig as he wanted to challenge himself against another high-level grappler. And he literally wanted a submission via armbar, key lock, or kimura. And he got a kimura. He specifically wanted a submission he wanted to take Paul Craig's arm home with him, and he did. That just shows me a little bit of mongrel that I love. On the feet, he's incredibly reliable as well. His defense is much better than Anthony Smith. Anthony gets hit for fun. He's literally a large punching bag sometimes. Jimmy Crute is going to be the shorter man and is at a reach disadvantage, but he's faster, he has better movement, and he's got all the tools. He kicks the legs, he opens up to the body, loves kicking up high as well. In terms of the challenges Jimmy will have in this fight, Smith is going to be the hardest hitter he's ever fought, and he's probably got the best Muay Thai as well that Jimmy's ever seen. Anthony Smith is no joke in the clinch, his knees and elbows. He is vicious with those attacks. But Jimmy Crute's no stranger to that. He's done stints over at Tiger Muay Thai, and no one does it better than the girls and guys over there. As Valentina Shevchenko would say, as she does lots of her striking training in Thailand and at Tiger specifically. Another challenge that Jimmy's going to have in this fight is it's going to be incredibly hard to put Anthony Smith away, because Anthony Smith won't quit. It's one of his best traits. He really does know how to overcome adversity, even though he is getting it poured on him. Just the Volkan Oezdemir win, the Alexander Gustafsson win, they were incredibly impressive. But those openings that he does give, working towards a late comeback win, the things he does prior to that and the damage he takes, I think Jimmy Crute can capitalise, and I think Jimmy wins this fight via a submission. Anthony Smith has a criminally underrated BJJ game for sure. But as for his defense on the mat, it isn't crash hot. He's got 4 losses via submission in his career in a variety of manners. He's been choked, he's been armbarred, he's been arm triangled. And Jimmy Crute, he's a seriously strong grappler. He's got great takedowns, high amplitude double legs. He does shoot across the cage a little more than I would like to see. But I think he can catch Anthony Smith off guard with that. And once on top, he's got such a heavy top game. And then he's also a black belt. For a 24-year-old or 24, 25, whatever Jimmy Crute is, he is a really well-rounded guy. And he's the type of confident, young fighter to see Anthony Smith's credentials in the jiu-jitsu world and see people who are in the know, who know Anthony Smith is dangerous on the mat, that he's going to want to put that feather in his cap like he did with Craig and submit this guy. He's durable, has cardio for days. I think he gets super active with the wrestling early, try and implement the jiu-jitsu, and I think he gets a submission in round 1, and that is currently priced at 19.61 times on verdict. It's a great price rather for someone with such ability, and the susceptibility Anthony Smith has shown on the ground defensively as well. I also think that if Anthony Smith opts to take Jimmy Crute down, which he may, Jimmy Crute's reversals and sweeps are clean as fuck, which were highlighted in that Paul Craig fight. So yeah, Jimmy Crute submission. Next fight along, Uriah Hall versus Chris Weidman. Uriah Hall 1.67 times and $1.90. Chris Weidman 2.49 times and $1.90 as well. For me, this was a really tough fight. Neither guys are guys that I really love or can trust, similar to the opening fight. Notoriously, Uriah Hall fights at his best against other strikers. That's what he loves to do. He's a phenomenal striker, literally one of the prettiest techniques in the UFC, and has every tool. He's so much better than Chris Weidman with the striking, but the problem is he never has any urgency. He never turns on a pace. He never really pressures his opponent either. He just likes to fight at range, find his rhythm, find kind of his distance, and then just land at a really slow pace. He hits his shots at great accuracy, but at what cost? Because he does not throw enough. And I've already said Uriah Hall fights his best against other strikers. Chris Weidman is not a striker. He's a wrestler through and through. And he's a fucking great wrestler as well. He's got smothering pressure and he sets a pace. He really enforces that grappling, and he did it in his last fight. He gets in on the hips. He loves to tuck the base out or drop for a single leg as well. Turn the corner, chase the angle and complete. And once on the ground, his top pressure is really good. He's a great understanding of the game down there. One of the best things about Chris Weidman is he's so good at understanding when he is about to lose position, when his opponent is beginning to make their way back up to their feet, and he kind of relinquishes that to set up his positioning to immediately return them to the mat, which is so fucking demoralizing, and it saps the energy of his opponent and shit like that. That's the shit that breaks Uriah Hall. It's kind of unfair. It sounds unfair to say it, but I just don't see that dog in Uriah that you see in other fighters, the will to win, the will to fight through adversity. It's one of my biggest knocks on the bloke. And those kind of instances, mat returns, smothering top pressure, wrestling game, not being able to fight at range and at his pace and implement his striking, that's the type of shit that's going to turn Uriah Hall right off. My worries with picking Weidman, there are two main ones. First one, his lack of durability, That's no secret. He's got 5 career losses, all via knockout, all within his last 7 fights. Yes, they were great opposition, but he has still been slept that many times recently. However, what I'm telling to myself is, how do you counter a diminishing chin? You take your opponent off their feet, which will by and large be his game plan here. And we did see that change in attitude from his last fight. He attempted 16 takedowns against Amari Akhmedov, for Christ's sake. So that's what is settling my nerves on that worry. My second worry is poor cardio. He has faded in recent fights that have been elongated. He still managed to perform okay, you could say, but the body language after that second round is really not what you want to see. He did get slept by Jacare in the 3rd round. It's not a good look. But again, I have an answer to settle my nerves on that worry, and that's the fact that Uriah Hall does not really pour that pressure on like these other guys can, like Jacare did. Jacare really came for the finish in the 3rd round. Uriah Hall doesn't push a pace at all. We know that. That is no secret either. I feel like Chris is going to be able to pick his spots, and the only thing that's going to gas him out will be over-wrestling himself. And if he does that, Uriah is going to be just as tired because his takedown defense isn't good. That top control and those mat returns that Chris is famous for is just going to empty the gas tank of Uriah Hall even further. So that's my pick, man. I'm taking Chris Weidman via a decision at 3.34 times. I truly think that outside of getting caught up and hurt on the feet, the 1st and 2nd round are going to be relatively comfortable for him, and then the 3rd might get a little dicey, as I have kind of pointed out there. But even if he's tired, I rate his tenacity to get this to the ground where he will be safe. Perhaps, just lay on Uriah, which will be a little lackluster, but if that's my pick, that's what I hope. So, Chris Weidman, let's go. First of the title fights now, we've got Valentina Shevchenko versus Jessica Andrade. Shevchenko 1.12 times and $1.22. Jessica Andrade 9.24 times and $4. As for the verdict price, Valentina is so short and there is no value, but with my prediction record on the line, it's just got to be her, right? She's just better. She's the better striker. Andrade is a high-volume brawler. She loves the firefight. She will pressure. She will get in her opponent's face, but Valentina's no stranger to that, and she is a technician. She picks her counters well. Her footwork is elite. Her setups are second to none. She can definitely walk Jessica onto something, keep her on the end of a jab as well, and end of a teep, swing the leg kicks, rattle the cage with head kicks as well, and just kind of counter Andrade's brawling front foot style with better movement and power shots herself to keep Jessica from entering the pocket. As for the ground games, both have great ability on the mat, both really solid defensively with their wrestling as well. But again, like I said with the striking, Valentina's got the better footwork, which is going to make Andrade's wrestling entries more difficult. Plus, she's going to be the stronger girl. Jessica Andrade is undersized in this matchup. Strawweight coming up, she's 4 inches shorter, and Valentina is a very well filled out flyweight. As for recent performances, Shevchenko, we did see some gaps there. Jennifer Maia really had some success with the ground game in that second round. 4 minutes of control time, and it got dicey there for Shevchenko for sure. It's as much as we've seen her lose in recent years, but I don't think that Andrade is going to be able to do the same things for long enough to work towards a finish, or long enough to win a decision kind of exactly like Jennifer Maia. You know, she had that great second round, but that was it. I feel like Andrade, she has a similar ability on the ground to be able to implement something like that, but the question is for how long? I don't think long enough, you know. Shevchenko, she's durable, she's got elite conditioning. We've only seen Andrade over 5 rounds once when she got absolutely bodied by Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I'll just say JJ because I butchered that. You know, that 5 rounds, that is a factor. You know, Andrade got slated to fight 5 against Rose and against Weili, but they were both second and first round finishes. Valentina fights 5 rounds for fun. It is no secret that strawweights are the best women's weight class, so Jessica is going to bring things to the table here through her career at 115 that may challenge Valentina, because the level of competition up 10 pounds is not the same. That's just a matter of fact. And the verdict odds are off. I am tempted to swing the XP on Jessica Andrade because that is a juicy price and it shouldn't be that high, but I won't. I will play the champ side. And yeah, kind of for that reason, with her lacking value on the money line, I'm going to be playing a second round submission at 14.83 times. It is by far the only method representing any slither of value on Valentina's side. And I don't necessarily think it should be paying that much, you know. She's got 7 wins in her career via submission, 7 via decision, and 6 via knockout. The knockout and the decision are in the 2 to 3 times range. The submission is upwards of 14. Jessica Andrade has been submitted twice in her career. So yeah, in terms of that, I've got to be on Valentina here. I think she wins this fight. I think it's closer than the odds suggest. And for that reason, I'm playing a very plausible method that is overs with the submission. As for the second round, 4 of Valentina's 7 submission wins have been in the second. And 1 of Jessica's 2 submission losses was also in the second round. So just backing a bit of history with that, as I tend to do with the round selections. Anyway, moving on. We've already been chatting for a long time. Let's keep working our way through. It's the co-main event. We've got Weili Zhang versus Rose Namajunas. Weili Zhang 1.67 times and $1.49. Rose Namajunas 2.49 times and $2.50. Weili Zhang is someone I've been on since the get-go. You know, I really love her aggression. I love her ability as well. She is game as heck. You know, she fights to finish. She's so aggressive. She's so strong. But yeah, this is a real test. Not that her previous fights weren't, but this is a compelling matchup. As for their skill sets, I want to talk about the kicking games. Rose has better technique, I think. You know, she really sticks a side kick into the body. She works the legs. She does have the high kick as well. But Weili kicks a lot as well, and she's got more power. She's got thunderous leg kicks. She whacked 58 into JJ. And they are scary. The biggest factor in this fight is going to be the distance management. Rose, that's Rose's realm. Rose is really good at keeping girls on the outside, fighting kind of a karate-esque style, and using her speed and her footwork to enter range, to land her shots whilst evading the counters or the setups of her opponent. For that reason, you know, she's got great striking defense, and it also aids her offense on her entries and the ability to work angles as well. Shoot off to the side, enter straight, get off to the side, away from the power, which will be whichever hand for Weili, because she does like to switch. As for all those skills, Zhang has a bit of that as well, but she's far more reckless. You know, she's durable, but she relies on her chin a lot because she really does embrace that firefight and gets into it through the pocket. And that's the danger zone for Rose. She's going to know it. It's going to be down to avoiding it. JJ couldn't really. JJ landed at will in reality. Weili Zhang's head movement was not very good in that fight. Her defensive footwork was not very good in that fight either. But Joanna just stayed a long time in the pocket and gave Weili every chance possible to land those counters. And when you're doing that, you're going to get punished like she did. In saying that, she still arguably won that fight. I think Rose can implement a really similar game plan and escape the pocket on more occasions, not give Weili the chance to land those big power counters that just accumulate damage and score points, and win this fight. Before I get to that though, I need to talk about the grappling as well, because both of these girls tend to use it a lot in their matchups, and I truly think that both fighters are going to be able to take each other down. As for who I think is more likely to, I think Weili is more likely to implement a wrestling heavy game plan here. Rose's takedown defense is not that great, and Weili is super strong. She's going to be at a strength advantage here in this fight. She's strong in the clinch, she's strong once she's on top as well. And she's so aggressive. She will fight to finish and she will look to lay ground and pound. The thing that does though, especially with Rose, a fighter that doesn't settle, it's going to give more space, because Rose is super active from her back. She looks for submission. She's got a nasty jiu-jitsu game, better jiu-jitsu practitioner than Zhang. And with Weili getting really reckless on the ground, looking for ground and pound, not just settling in guard, I think that's going to give Rose the necessary space when she's on her back to either look for a submission or look for the fence and get the fuck back up. And I think she can force the stand-ups. So, yeah. Conditioning shouldn't be a problem for either girl either. I'll put that in there. So we should see action the full way through for however long this lasts. And yeah, like I mentioned before, even getting into the grappling side of things, I am leaning Rose. My big worry is the Andrade fights. She's got a similar style somewhat to Weili Zhang in terms of her aggression, power, and kind of style in terms of fewer straight punches, more winging shots, and likes the close range encounters. But that last fight was Rose's comeback fight. She had to clear some cobwebs and fight some demons, fighting the girl that knocked her out with a slam over a year prior to that. And yeah, I don't know. I think Rose is going to get the better of her on the feet, down to her movement, her length, her range management, and her speed. I think she can negate what I think to be Weili's biggest advantage in this fight, being the wrestling with her jiu-jitsu game and with her ability to scramble and find space and fight her way to a close decision. This is so intriguing. I'm so keen to see how it plays out. But Rose Namajunas via a decision at 3.95 times. That's the verdict play. Okay, main event, Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal. Usman 1.30 times and $1.22. Jorge Masvidal 4.33 times and $4. I hope this isn't a lackluster fight, but it's really hard to go past Kamaru Usman here. I really don't think that Masvidal is that deserving of this title shot. Not that that fact's played into my thinking here, because it hasn't, but it's just my opinion. Jorge Masvidal, he has incredible stand-up. It's better than Kamaru Usman's, 100%. No one should even argue with me on that. Even with Kamaru's vast improvements from his UFC debut to now. But Kamaru Usman just won't play that game. There's no way he plays that game. He's going to clinch. He's going to get Jorge in close. He's going to smother him. And then he's going to take him down, People are questioning, will he stand up more because he feels like he's improving? And the answer is fuck no. Why would he? Why would he? Is it because because he said he wants to finish guys, he wants to knock them out and put stamps on finishes, on fights? Or is it because him and Masvidal have some beef now? It's all talk, Kamaru Usman is all about winning, and he knows the best way to do that. The only thing that I think all this beef and all this talk may change within the fight is Kamaru Usman might be more aggressive. But it's going to be aggression played out through his natural routes. He might go for high amplitude takedowns, or he might look to slam more. Or once he's on the ground, he might look to posture up and throw more damaging blows than his usual petty slaps. But he's not going to stand at range for any longer with Jorge than he did in the first fight, because he knows, and Jorge knows, they both know that Masvidal can crack Kamaru. And yes, Usman is durable, but Masvidal could still put Usman out. In terms of changes that Masvidal will make, he's going to kick less. When he kicked to the body or kicked to the legs, it ended up with him getting taken down in the first fight. If he looks to go to the body, he's going to use his hands more. The other change he's going to make, his conditioning will be better. He's going to be more prepared, of course. He's had a camp now. But it's not enough. Like, look at the list of guys that have tried and failed before him. And if you're having a look now, like I have done, he is probably the best striker on that list. But it just doesn't matter when you're spending 20 minutes on your back or with a guy on your hips with no space. And yeah, 20 minutes of a 25-minute fight. What about that 5 minutes? Could Masvidal find the shot? Sure. He is a knockout artist, he may do. But it's just not the type of play that's going to pay off in the long run. It's like taking Derek Lewis against Curtis Blades. But is Jorge Masvidal as much of a knockout artist as Derek Lewis? Probably not. Probably not. It's Kamaru Usman via a decision at 1.96 times for the tadpole. It's short, but I'll be looking to cash the extra 500 XP on scoring each of the 5 rounds. So that's the read, guys. As for the bets, we've already been over them, unbeknown to you guys, because the formula spat out 2 money lines on this 6-fight main card. The first of which is the Weidman money line at $1.90 over on Sportsbet. This has a 27% perceived edge based on the fact that Uriah Hall is a verdict favourite, a light verdict favourite, but priced at even money, or Weidman being the slight dog on some books. If you guys really want to know the stats, when a light verdict favourite enters a fight as a even money or as an underdog, they win on 20% of occasions. So yeah, fading the public on this one big time and hitting the Chris Weidman money line at $1.90. The next money line is Rose Namajunas at $2.70 on 365, 20 cents up on the Sportsbet price listed in the breakdown. That's an incredible price. That's upwards of a 50% edge. The break-even price on a light verdict underdog is around $1.70, $1.80, and we're getting Namajunas here at $2.70. The rate at which these light verdict favourites win is not often, you know. This is a close fight, and I love having a bit of a play on the Namajunas money line there at $2.70. I think it should be much, much closer. Yeah. Anyway, putting all my eggs in one basket as well, because with the multi this week, we are taking Chris Weidman via points and Rose Namajunas via points at $18.63 over on Sportsbet. Call me crazy if one loses, we all lose, because correlated between the singles and the multi. But just having faith in the formula this week. Just having the 3 bets, 3 unit outlay. If we hit it all, we win quite large, which will be a very welcoming prospect for the tadpole this week. Aside from that, guys, next week I'll be back. I think it's Dominic Reyes versus Yuri Prochazka, which is a barn burner of a light heavyweight scrap. Hopefully they pack out the main card. I honestly don't think they've officially announced many fights on that card, so until then, you guys want to scope the socials, it's all down in the description, alongside the full verdict betting record. Completely transparent, guys, as always. And yeah, who knows, a few more props might get released that I like the look of. You'll only be able to find if I play them on my Instagram, on my Twitter. So you don't want to miss out on any potential cash-making opportunities. Aside from that, thanks for tuning in this week. It was a big episode. If you've stayed this long, why don't you drop a like, comment what you're selecting this week, or if you're following, sub to the channel. Catch up.